Hi, everybody. Sorry, I know you see a camera before it goes on. It's just my little laptops I have are not the best technology. So, and I don't have time to pass it through and crop and so, anyway, there was a couple of things that from the last one, which I guess was the 8th one, I did a tally. Oh, I posted it up on one of the thumbnails. I forget, I didn't mark down, but it's like I'm over 100 and there, my opponents are in the red, like 150, somewhere around there. But you see how quickly the transfer of money can happen. And I mean, you know, I'm just playing, I don't even, yeah, believe me, when you all get into all of the litigation, then you start counting a little bit more than this stuff, but you get the idea, I guess. Oh, one of the things that I heard when I was downstairs earlier, I mean, there's the TV's usually on, it's usually CNN, or in MSNBC. I think I'm the only one who turns it on to Fox News. Well, Jim is starting to listen to that, but I'm worried. I'm just trying to get you know, across the board information of what the extreme right and the extreme left are saying. His problem is he actually buys into everything. Anyway, well, that's another story. But and I really don't know, you know, it was somebody up on Capitol Hill, some congressional person. I'm not really sure it was, pretty sure it was on CNN earlier today. But what she was saying was, what we need are more armed forces up on Capitol Hill and more like infrastructure and barriers. No, instead of addressing the shit show that's going on up there, no, just get us more, you know, more police, more arms. Escalate, escalate, escalate. I'm sorry, it's not just Trump who is guilty and you know, his band of merry men, who is guilty of escalating. Let's escalate instead of address. You know, get your shit together. So that I was just like, I mean, you know, as I say, it was just a comment that I heard. I was fixing myself a sandwich, but a comment that I heard as I'm going up the stairs, and I'm like, oh Lord, oh Lord. So let's see, there are a few things. Oh, I guess I had spoken, I talked about, oh, this was the National Center of, Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the international one. Well, the national one, and that was started, Jen Shaw's father, who was a classmate of mine, and a friend of mine at Foxcroft in the 80s, was Congressman Clay Shaw, a Republican from Florida. And he was the one who passed the legislation on that. So, you know, you would think Jen and her father, because he has passed, but it wasn't that long ago, you know, would be concerned about what's going on in the organization, that Act gave rise to, which was is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then you got the international one that was started by Lady Catherine Meyer and the longtime president. I don't know why he stepped down of the national one and then went over and started an international one, convoluting the problems instead of addressing the situation. However, Lanny Davis, his wife, Carolyn Atwell Davis, she's from Georgetown Law, 94 to 97, consultant, legal affairs, parents and abducted children together, 99 to 2001, director of legislative affairs, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 2001, 2012, and VP, Public Policy and Government Affairs, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I don't know if anybody's following my mind on this one, but obviously, and particularly, you know, the closest I ever got to what is it? The creative agents, literary agents. It was Lanny Davis. And I mean, I sent him a book proposal and, you know, tried to talk to him. Money came in Kalari because he comes in. You know, he's been in there a few times. When the whole Cohen affair happened in the hearings and he was in the limelight, you know, I did say to him, Mr. Davis, thank you very much, because, you know, these are issues. I just, I think there's other agendas there, you know, from the Democrats as much as Lanny Davis, than getting the truth out. See this, you know, it was like, oh, okay, now we got to get Trump out because, you know, it's two teams. And the important thing is which team wins, not good governance. So anyway, but do you understand how these networks and also the women, they're out in the workforce, they're making money off of all of this, and it's all bullshit. I mean, you know, if anybody says, no, you're wrong, you don't know what, I mean, we can, because this gets into a lot of stuff. So of course I get, you know, I sat here, I'd be here for 5 hours just on this point alone. But if anybody, as I say, you know, read the reports. I haven't made anything up. I just looked at what the evidence is presented. I mean, that's what it's presented. I mean, what was it, Mark Twain who said an expert is from someone from out of town? So anyway, you know, Carolyn Atwell, where are you? Because these organizations that you've been a part of are not going to be sitting pretty when I get into the international courts. Not at all, not at all, not at all. Oops, sorry. You know, this is what accountability is about. And quite frankly, this is also why women were kept out of positions of power. Oh God, the feminists, they're gonna attack me on that one. And excuse me, this whole thing that women have never been in positions of power is bullshit as well. Let me sit down and give you examples, but Elizabeth I, Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth II, I mean, you know, we have Catherine the Great, the worst tyrants and the most vicious dictators were all women. One Chinese woman, oh my Lord. really sick, really sick. So anyway, also I you know, had talked about Tatum O'Neal, the dysfunctionality of her family not bringing, and then Paris Hilton as well. Now, there's another, you know, child actress, if you will, or brought up in that whole world, is Mackenzie Phillips. She was the daughter of the mamas and papas. Now, she was in the sitcom One Day at a Time, I believe it was. And I mean, I really liked the sitcom. I think it was well done. Also, you know, I was a little bit younger than, you know, like 4 or 5 years younger than Mackenzie Phillips, the Valerie Bertinelli and Mackenzie Phillips. I guess, you know, more so, of course, closer to age Valerie Bertinelli. Anyway, you know, I thought it was well done. I liked it. It was something that I used to watch. And when I saw Mackenzie Phillips on a reality show, Hoarders. It was about helping hoarders. Oh my God. My heart went out to the poor woman. I mean, she was a real hoarder. It was really bad, really bad. And so they're coming in and, you know, throwing it. And the poor woman keeps on saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because it was, you know, very bad. And I was just furious. I was like, oh my God, Mackenzie, somebody should be saying, I'm sorry to you. Where were the adults in the room? I mean, there was incest in with her father. It just a family out of control. This is not, you know, this whole idea that, oh, well, if they have money, their life is wonderful and great. It's not true. Oh my Lord, one of the worst cases that I saw, it was a DuPont family. And of course, the father got custody. It was a DuPont family and a real social climbing, you know, life. So, but the children were locked up, literally locked up in a room without, like, you know, toilet facilities. And they would smear feces on the walls. And you know, really animal conditions. And you know, horrified, oh, how could they, you know, no, it was a normal reaction, actually, in protest and that kind of behavior. It was horrific. Oh yeah, but it was a DuPont family, so it's okay. Oh, well, it's quite cool here, but this gets my temper. So I did want to mention Mackenzie Phillips as well. There's just so many examples of child stars or young, you know, not necessarily the children, but, you know, as teenagers or young. Britney Spears, you know, is another. I'm not sure what age she started, but it's just a predatory, exploitative industry that is destroying everybody. It's destroying everybody in it. Oh, and then, well, let's hope this one comes up in some cards. I'll leave that. This was something that I was thinking about, but I'll leave it to the cards to bring that one up. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm going to turn off the air Okay. Well, I have the cards that I'm getting exhausted last night. I had a good night's sleeping over 15 years, 20 years. So, but I will pull, let's do 2 more cards. It's still over early. So, oh, well, that's not fair. It dropped off the top. Oh, and it's 32 James Madison. James Madison. Oh, I put together an Excel spreadsheet and a table. It's thumbnails for the videos. I think I posted it. If not, I'll post it on. I did there's a table of contents on my Taking Back America for the People, and I'll post I'll keep a tally of the posting of a tally up there, an image, so y'all can see how much is going back into the pockets of the people. Really, I mean, I remember when Christine Lagarde, when the Panama Papers came out, and Christine Lagarde was on the podium going, yes, but we just don't know how to get that money back into the investment community, the 32 trillion. I was like, I do. Oh, Lord. They really would have evacuated me. Very, very, very quickly. Okay. We have 2 cards to each person. Okay, goes there. Oh, we've got Steve Mnuchin. FBI Christopher Wray. Oh, this is just about the FBI. I thought it might be about the DBA report. No, but it's just the FBI. So then, and then the third card on in the first pile was National Organization of Women, now Feminist Majority Foundation, these feminist organizations. Then for pile 2, honorary chair of IMFA, I'm a Family Association, Ann Sinclair. Oh, this is all about IMFA. Yeah, all about IMFA. Okay. This one. I mean, I know I've gone into the IMF Institute for Capacity Development. I'm drawing a blank now if I explain what happened with bullying on this one or the info. I mean, there's so many things. Okay, there's 2 people on here that I can talk about. Yeah, I can talk about the people. Okay, so I just don't want to repeat things. This is DC law firms. I mean, that's what I'm trying to get the Excel spreadsheet to you know, who can't give a lengthy explanation. So anyway, these are DC law firms. That was from the last time. That's in the second pile. For the third pile, Abraham Lincoln. That's interesting. We already had Jimmy Carter there. So that's interesting. They both got presidents. Oh, this is, yeah, it's going to be interesting again. Okay, we've got, well, Ghislaine Maxwell is on here. I have gone on the expat wives clubs. Yeah. Okay, this does a comparison there. Okay, yeah, so this is on the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. Okay. Oh my goodness, I went to finally Bed Bath & Beyond and I got my soap, my Aveeno. Oh my God, it just really, these ladies are out of control with all of the beauty products. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the quantity of money. I mean, has anybody seen the nails? I don't know how I always go, how do you type like at the cashier? And the thing is, I don't know if you know, gentlemen, how much money is wasted on that bullshit. Oh, and then don't even get me started on plastic surgery. The Botox, yes, I mean, all of us ladies, you know, do what we can with the makeup, but oh, how did somebody stick a needle all over my face? You ladies are crazy. And the plastic surgery. Bogota, Colombia is kind of the plastic surgery capital of the world. It's just that they do have a good, you know, good people in that, and it's a lot cheaper than in the United States. So they even, you know, come down there to have their things done. And almost all of the expats, I mean, like almost all of them, before they would leave Bogota, would have something done. And oh my Lord, I remember one woman, wow, and she, you know, was well endowed, let's just say. It was her third child, and she was having a cesarean. She had the surgeon do like liposuction, her breasts, her stuff. She, you know, showed me the bandages, and I was like, that's enough to cure anybody. I'm sorry. I am sorry. You people are crazy. My favorite was some guy who you know, a plastic surgeon who was showing you know, the boobs, what the breasts, the silicone thing, and an explanation. See, they don't break, and it broke all over the place. Because I mean, if it breaks, you can have serious problems. I mean, just crazy. I mean, there are, you know, because the plastic surgery was not invented for these crazy wacko women and men. It was invented for, you know, legitimate medical concerns, or, you know, disfigurements and for a greater good, if you will, and not just so a bunch of women could put in big boobs. Ah, my Lord, because they have to change them. Yeah, I forget, it was 10, 20 years or something. So, yeah, I'm like, I don't want to go under the knife or anything, thank you. Anyway, because that's a whole part of the beauty industry, and but it's out of control, out of control. See, I'm still scratching, but it's better. So anyway, sorry, let's get started. But I was just, you know, I'm sitting in there, it's Bed Bath and Beyond, but I'm like, everything, you know, even Neutrogena, because Neutrogena was just the originally the bar soap. And it's, I mean, it was a good second if I couldn't get Aveeno. And they got all their luxury products as well. It's all ridiculous. You don't need all of that stuff, really. It's all just hype and sales, and so a bunch of idiots who don't have anything else to do with their lives can go shopping. I mean, I like to go shopping as well occasionally, not with any damn women, but I usually go with myself. I'll go with gay men. Straight men have a tendency of like, can we wrap this up? But gay men are okay. They have good advice, but they are not. Oh my God. They don't want to stay there for 3 hours. So anyway, we got, well, maybe this goes in well with, let's start with Steve Mnuchin. Maybe that goes well with him. Well, so he's Secretary of the Treasury under Trump. I have a problem with probably about every Secretary of Treasury that has been in there since Reagan, but I think he gets 5 stars on that one. So Yale, I was like, oh, Yale, for once. We usually get Harvard in there. So he's a Yale graduate, Goldman Sachs. Surprise, surprise. What is it? Blankfeld. I always forget exactly, but Blankfelder, CEO. I think they're the only ones left standing. And they're raking it in, of course. What? The uppers. David Malpass. No, Malpass was Bear Stearns. Chief economist who didn't see the 2008 collapse coming, and so they put him over at the World Bank. I mean, come on, you guys. All they do is move the chairs around on the deck of. Oh gosh, okay. Of the Titanic. Okay, so corporatist, of course. Hedge funds. Oh Lord, okay, I'm gonna have to talk about hedge funds. Jewish, banking, 3 wives. The last one is 18 years younger than him. See, this is a pattern as well, because these bimbos don't stay as stupid as they are when at 20, 30, or 35. So they keep on having to change, because the older ones are getting to realize, oh Lord, he's not as great as he makes himself out to be. So when you see the revolving door like that, particularly, and younger and younger and younger each time, little warning bells. I'm like, okay, who is this person? I mean, it's not like nobody should get a divorce. Of course, you don't want to make people stay in you know, a marriage that's not working. It's not good for the people involved. It's not good for the children. It's not good for anybody. However, you know, this other extreme of, well, we'll just get married and a year from now we're not happy. It's not, you know, Prince Charming or, you know, our princess, and we're, you know, we expected this to be a honeymoon and happily ever after, and it didn't work out that way. Well, that's not life. I mean, that's why you need to think, and I mean, marriage needs to be an important decision. I mean, this thing of well, that's okay. It's a great party, you know, a beautiful dress. We can spend lots of money and have a party and get married, and then afterwards be like, oh, well, we're kind of bored. I mean, yeah, of course, when marriage was under the religious institutions, or the dissolution, well, yeah, marriage and the dissolution, it wasn't ideal. But this whole, yeah, I mean, you could get an annulment, you could, you know, separate from your spouse. I mean, a lot of times there was just a separation, and therefore the provider, which was the husband, was still, you know, legally obligated financially. Whether that happened or not is another matter. But there were remedies. And also the church did recognize sometimes, you know, this is an impossible situation. We can't ask these people to stay in here. And so, yeah, of course. But just, oh, I want a divorce. Well, no. And the divorce courts just feed into that because it's a money-making business. The family law lawyers, and I mean, I think there are some of the cesspool, you know, the scum of the cesspool. They make money any way it goes. So who cares? I mean, that's what the legal profession is about. So, you know, it's not, oh God, he's divorced. You know, the 1930, my mother and Nancy Reagan and all of those, Jim Crawford. Yeah, that mentality of, oh, get divorced, oh, how scandalous. Well, no. But we're at the other extreme now of, you know, it's kind of like when you go to the DMV and you pick a number, you just sit there and wait until you call your number. Who's up for the next divorce? I mean, this country really needs a wake-up call. It just, I mean, it's not just this country, it's the world. But the problem is the Americans are still, you know, economically and socially at the lead. Ooh, don't let the French hear me say that. Ooh, joie des problèmes. But that's what their thing is. The Alliance says, see, they're well, the American, how shall I say it, exportation of their culture is very much more economically based, and through the corporate structures in collusion with the embassies. But the French, you know, their lycée français, l'Alliance française, or Alliance française, those are, you know, it's a more subliminal influence, and taking the high road of superiority and in exporting, you know, the arts, which include, you know, the paintings and expositions, but also the music, the classical music. I mean, this was one of the things I would put. So I'm gonna have to pull out $1 so I can start putting some actual money down, because that's about all I bet. But I would put $1 down that amongst the French expats in Bogota, well, the embassy, social climbers, and that whole crowd. I mean, it was so, you know, the symphony and the opera, and, you know, the European cultural, whether it be at the museums, or whether it be the music, or any of the arts, you know, that was very chic, and that was, you know, the thing to do. In fact, I think one of my subversive ideas for Bogota was to, that they have, it's called tiple. It's a typical, it's like a good, well, it's kind of, I guess, between a ukulele and a guitar, because it's small. But we had gone to a dinner party, Jaime Campos, and they had had this maestro. I mean, he was, you know, he had been a professor of music, and but very, you know, one of the grandfathers, if you will, of that. And it was a, you know, small, just at their house, but he did a little concert. And I mean, I fell in love with El Tiple. This man was spectacular, absolutely spectacular. So one of my ideas was, instead of trying to, because we would do all of the, try and organize, or, you know, promote these different events. And I said, why don't we organize, you know, like a concert with tiple, and we can do some of the Colombian music. And I mean, you don't have to do the indigenous stuff. There's a huge variety of things, because of course, you know, you think of, I mean, that's like with the Mexicans and the mariachis. Yeah. The mariachis. My God, it was la moda in Bogota to have mariachis. If you have, you know, these parties with the ruling elite in Bogota, and one of their things was to bring in a band of mariachis and play. And I was like, oh God, this takes me back to Nogales and Mexico. But you know, that there is a, and it is a, how shall I say, it's denigrating in a lot of ways, because it stereotypes this music. You know, it's kind of like if in the United States we only played, you know, country music and the fiddle, and that's the repertoire, and that's what American music is about. You understand the analogy? So I was always like, can we do something besides a symphony or an opera? Or, well, with Bogota, thank God they didn't do that. But a lot of them, that was what they, you know, see and be seen at these things. And of course, I mean, my ex-husband would have never have gone, and I had no desire, not because, I mean, if these ladies knew, Because when I was little, my mother had seasons tickets to the symphony. Thank God, not well, because we did go to operas, but I don't think she had season tickets. But the symphony, definitely. And I think it was 3 tickets. So we would have to rotate when my mom and dad and go. And we would always be fighting. No, I went last. No, I went last. No, I went last time. You have to go. It's your turn this time. Believe me, there was an argument every single time. Because we were inundated. It was, I mean, that's all that was allowed in our house was classical music. Any kind of rock music, my mother made, said they noise. We got some albums. I don't know, I was around maybe 9 or 10. The Eagles, let's see. The Eagles, and I forget. There was like 3 albums that we had. But we had to put the headgears on at the turntable, which it was near the formal dining room. And so we could listen to it because we weren't allowed to make, have it out there. We could only listen like that. So, there's you got to have a balance. And then so when we would have, because then we'd, go to opera or opera, I like at Carmen, I really liked, but, sometimes the opera, but we would, the whole family. Well, I guess my younger brother, at least when he was too small, at least when, maybe at the end he came. So again, we had to turn. It was taking turns. So who sat next to my mom would always get the elbow to wake you up when you're falling asleep. Second in line of fire could get tapped, so you would also get woken up. But the third in line of fire, she couldn't reach. And then my father was the fourth in the line of fire. He always got that position. There was no contest. Dad always gets that position because she couldn't reach him. However, if he started snoring, the one who was next to him had to go, because she would really get pissed off. So, that was the pecking order and that was the strategy. But of course, every time we had to go, you can imagine the argument started before we even left the house and got to the convention center. So my whole point being, expose your children. I mean, this was with my children I tried to expose, but when you force feed them, they become, like, well, not a phobia, but yeah, I had my dosage. However, I have to say, this is where I'm gonna, these French ladies, I'm like, you're, because I got attitude. I did see, I'm pretty sure it was Nureyev rather than Baryshnikov, but I did see Nureyev in London when I was there in the 70s. Yes, I was blown away. I mean, yeah, you take me to. So, and I guess I took ballet, not voluntarily for many years, we had it all, piano, ballet, You want to expose your children to music and to sports and I mean, girls are more into the ballet and the dancing, but you don't want to force it on them, and you want to give them a variety. And I mean, I liked the modern dance, but not the ballet. There was a little mouse in the Nutcracker Suite. It was the tiniest little mouse. The only time well, no, I was up on stage in camp, but I remember standing up there and looking. That's all I remember, the whole thing. Going, well, I only see dark out there. I don't see any people. That's all I remember. I was very young. As I say, I was the tiniest. But you know, but see, when I saw, I'm pretty sure it was the same, you know, presentation that I went to, that, because I remember as well, the Harlem, it was the Harlem modern dance. Also another who blew me away. But see, it's a variety. It's, I mean, Harlem, but it is not, you know, Nureyev and Baryshnikov, but it's appreciating a variety and different things instead of, oh yes, I'm sophisticated because I go to the opera and the symphony, and you know, each his own, but that's not my bag. It doesn't mean that I'm not cultivated and sophisticated and you know, civilized. I've been working on that, animal versus civilized. But I mean, being civilized is not about driving a bunch of fancy cars and having a bunch of fancy houses and eating in a bunch of fancy restaurants and you know, living the good life and spending like so much money and so much time on beauty products and spas that no wonder you're bored. Need I say more? So anyway, okay, so I'm getting off track. So we go about, well, maybe Steve Mnuchin, because this is exactly the type of paradigm and the type of world that he wants to support and sustain. Now, there's another thing on here that he was apparently with hedge funds. I mean, what the hell is going on? I couldn't believe it was, I mean, this would have been like 2006 or around there. And my younger sister, she's telling me that she's going to be investing in hedge funds. I said, what the hell are you talking about? I don't invest in hedge funds. Hedge funds are for the bigwigs, the high rollers, and it is a high risk game. Sure, of course, it's high risk. So you got a high yield, but when you've got high risk and you got high yield, you also have a lot of losses. And you better know what the hell you're doing and how to, you know, it's just like gambling, and be able to stay in the game and eat the losses and take the losses so you can continue. But you don't go into a high stakes poker game, you know, some country bumpkin, I'm going to bet the farm with these high rollers. And the problem was, I thought at the time, I thought, my Lord, she is really crazy. But when I got back, you know, a few years after that, back in the United States, and I mean, okay, I didn't get back into the financial markets, but looking at what's going on, I was like, hedge funds people are all over the place. It's like mutual funds used to be. And mutual funds were, okay, well, I'll talk about that, but you know, mutual funds were safe. I mean, compared to a hedge fund, as I say, hedge funds were only for high rollers. And I think there were even pretty strict restrictions. I mean, that was something that I never was involved with. So I don't know all of the details, but I'm pretty sure, because like with margin and Schwelling, I mean, he pushed people to be on margin that should have never been on margin. I mean, they were pushing that back in the 80s that you know, I had a problem with, and I was like, these people should not be on margin. And of course, that was part of the problem. The hedge funds have become the new mutual funds. I mean, this guy, this dishwasher, he works at James Reed. He's in his 70s. And he's still going to be a famous playwright. I mean, it was a cocaine and heroin. I mean, the man is absolutely freaking batty. And well, his two plans are he's going to become rich and famous as a playwright, or he's going to become rich with from the stock market. Now he lives in disgusting squalor. I mean, it's ludicrous. This whole country has gone freaking crazy. Now, I don't know. You might tell me where there's a town or a city where there's some sane people. I don't know. I haven't been able to find them. Give me the address. So anyway, okay, I did mention the mutual funds. Okay, the mutual funds, you know, it's fine as an investment tool because it does, you know, people who who aren't going to have individual accounts, trading accounts, yet you can put it in there if you have responsible money managers in these things. So, you know, hedge funds, and again, hedge funds, it's each of these things have their place, except Bitcoin. But within a healthy dosage. So the mutual funds. But the problem that I saw with the mutual funds, and this is when I was back there in the 80s, was with the brokers. I mean, the brokers is just sell, sell, sell. So what they try and do is grab a client, you know, steal clients. If they can't get new clients, then they'll steal clients from other people and then say, oh, no, that guy had you invested you in all the wrong things. I'm going to put you in the right thing. And believe, ooh, the fighting I had over this, because then the transfer of the accounts come in. And all the back offices don't do the transfer, of course, because in the meantime, the first broker is trying to keep the client. So their back office gives you all sorts of bullshit to transfer the stuff. So you have to, it's like pulling teeth. But you know, and I suggested, well, why don't they just liquidate with those guys and then transfer the money? Oh, no. Because the broker wants the commission on the sales of all of those products, plus buy. double the money. See, it was all about money. You know, how to up your commission, how to up your commission, how to up your commission. And this, you know, oh no, that was bad. I'm going to put you into something good. People don't, you know, well, the stockbrokers out there today, I've been out for so long, but I imagine the situation is much, much, much worse than when I was in there. So you kind of like jumping into a shark pool and believing that you'll never get bitten. But you know, find somebody good. And this is another thing, you know, financial managers. I mean, you know, okay, it was a kind of a joke back then. I won't go into all those stories, but at least the concept was there. Now it's just, well, maybe they do still have the names on the doors. Financial manager. They're all gamblers. I mean, that's the name of the game. Oh gosh, how long have I gone on now? Okay, so we'll finish with Mnuchin, but obviously I'm not a fan. Okay, we're gonna do with Mnuchin. Oh, let's do the DC law firms, because of course the law firms are in bed with all the bankers and the Treasury departments and the whole kit and caboodle. Oh gosh. Okay, so we have DC law firms. Okay, these are just the law firms that I have contacted. I mean, that I have contacted, if you will, in my own particular case. There's one in here that is another, but, and I've already mentioned this one, but okay. So, of course, since I'm trying to submit my own case challenging Gonzalez Carreño versus Spain 2014 CDOT case, I'm trying to find lawyers. I'm knocking at every single possible door that I can. So one of them that I contacted was Hunter Johnston, who is the son of former Senator Bennett Johnston. And Bennett Johnston, he's not a partner. It's Steptoe Johnson. He's not a partner, but he's a you know, senior advisor. Everybody does this. They leave Congress or Capitol Hill. So that, of course, got bucked down to the pro bono department. Now, this was so many years ago, I can't even remember. Been sitting there ever since. Nobody's ever said to me, you don't have a case, or there's something wrong here. No, they just ignore me. However, Steptoe Johnson is also looking at a lawsuit for discrimination in their hiring practices, because I forget when this was. It was after leaving the IMF Family Association. I did apply for a job as a, you know, administrative assistant in the department where Hunter Johnston is, and they wanted someone, you know, with secretarial skills, which, I mean, I could run circles around. Yeah, some of these kids can you know, impress you with some of their little tricks on Microsoft Word Suite, but you know, I can run circles around them. Even I'm like, okay, wait a second, where, you know, let's just say I'm not as fast as these kids. So, you know, I'm totally competent in that. Also, excuse me, I'm, you know, I'm trying to promote Patsy Geyer as the you know, role model of what secretaries and executive assistants should be in this city and this country. Well, if anybody should know that, it's Hunter Johnston and former Senator Johnston. So I applied for the job. They wanted somebody who knows something, you know, how the government works. I'm like, oh Lord, there's nobody in this town who knows it better than I do. Didn't even get an interview. Once again, I'm like, okay, fine. But I do have a lawsuit for discrimination, because that's discrimination. I mean, explain to me why I did not even get an interview yet once again. Plus, your legal clinic has been sitting there, what is it, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe more, on a case that should be taken to the international court, and then we can clean things up. Oh, and thing is, this also gets convoluted, so I won't get into it, because then people are like, well, I can't follow you. My parents have a case in Louisiana parallel, if you will, to my case in Spain of corruption. And let's just say I'm the only one in the family who really wants to know what's, you know, find out what happened. But apparently all of that, and it was about their farm being taken and them having to leave Louisiana, I mean, illegally. And you know, my mom was like, no, they were shooting at us. And this was the local police, you know, like the Dukes of Hazzard type of stuff. So, you know, no, it's just her crazy stuff, but I think there's more there. And it goes up to Edwin Edwards. Now, this establishes cause and an investigation into a lot of the corruption. Oh, believe me, because when I start a colonoscopy, I go for a colonoscopy. Thank you very much. I will go. So where's former Senator Bennett Johnston? Hunter Johnston. His daughter, Sally Johnston. She's married to, it's Congressman Romer. There's actually 2 Congressman Romers, I'm pretty sure. I think he's from Arkansas, but he was the ambassador to India, and she was the ambassador's wife to India, which brings one of my former classmates and friends that I haven't heard from, of course, is Vinita Gupta. She's an Indian socialite. She was at my boarding school in England. And the first time I ever tasted Indian food, or really, you know, anything, and I mean, I fell in love with Indian food. Oh my God. We would go and stay at her parents' flat, a duplex, in Hyde Park corner. Beautiful duplex, and it's gorgeous, you know, the terrace upstairs, on top. It was a beautiful apartment. And I mean, I never knew what I was eating, but it was all delicious. And her parents were really, really nice. But so she married rich. The story there is she had, I guess after her A levels and leaving Cobham, She had gone to the United States, California for the summer to visit her cousin and gone wild. So her parents were concerned about, I guess, her, going to college, and they got her quickly into an arranged marriage in India. And she told me she would come through Paris. We would go to the Place Vendôme, and she would go to Dome Crystal. And they do, as well as the jewelry, they do these huge crystal sculptures. And she would go and she would be, I'd take that. And I was like, she just spending money in 30 minutes as I was making it in Washington per year when I quit. And even because I would translate, and I even went back to Dome to packaging the stuff to ship it. And the woman, she said, "Can I just ask, who are you?" Because here I'm translating, but I don't seem to be like her employee translator. And I said, "No, we went to school together." And so, because I'm there as an au pair, and I'm obviously not. Oh my God. Well, that was another thing. They always stayed at the Four Seasons in Paris, and she would go to the safe downstairs and pull out the wads of cash. Because apparently, you're not, this gets into cash transfers from country to country. Anyway, I deviate. But she's not the Cornelia guest of India by any means, because her family is the one that she married into. It's Avitron. They're into aviation, which also gets into military. And in fact, what's funny is that when her husband actually was recalled, I think it was, from being the ambassador there, because the Americans had lost out on a deal for some fighter pilots, some military airplanes or something. I was like, oh my God, I'm sure they lost out to Benito's family. Well, but also because they work with, I know they had, more closely in clients with the French, and not so much. So it may have been a French Indian, but I'm sure they were in there. And I was like, see how the world is small, and the connections and stuff. Because I said, guess what, you guys, when the house of cards comes down, all of you are going to be, I'm going to be like, yes, well, if you weren't so busy cashing in and jet setting and playing the games and have been helping me all of these years. Because Benito was one of the people that because believe me, I was like, no, I know all of these people, and let's put these ladies together on a board. But since I don't have any money, I had oh Lord, if the capital of interest had given me the funding, I'd have people eating out of my hand. And then of course, if I had some of these ladies on board with me, I'll do the work. I got no problem. If you want to get up on a podium and do the window dressing and the PR stuff, I'm good to go. That's what's so ridiculous in this situation. I mean, I think most of the people know she wants to just, cash in on my name. Like, I'm sure that's why Cornelia has, never been interested, or Ingrid, Betancourt, and Astrid. I mean, this project will make that a lot of money. I've been coming to the table empty-handed, of course. with these people's names. All what I'm saying is, where should we pick and choose? And unfortunately, that's what the capital of interest markets are about. And that's why it's not a good capitalist system that's working, because they don't even look at the frickin' business plans. I know it's all buddy in an exclusive little club. So once again, I'm deviating from the law firms, but see how I mean, this, excuse me, man, that yes, you're better in maths and sciences, but this is all the little gossiping and the little, ay vey, let me tell you about this one. Believe me, the intel that you can get from a bunch of gossiping women, loose lips sink ships. You get a bunch of little gossiping bitches into a room, you can get off. You don't need to go and spy on people. These little bitches will tell you what's going on for free. More than happy to. You'd be amazed at what they tell you. Okay, so we got step the Squire Patton Boggs. Another one in the same boat as Steptoe Johnson. So, Squire Patton Boggs, there was he was head of the international, department, and they're going to develop more. It was again several years ago, must have been 2013, 14. So, through LinkedIn, because I'm trying to get, either corporate sponsors or capital of interest or some sort of funding. And partners and some assistance. I mean, yeah, okay, I was a stay-at-home mom. That doesn't mean I don't know anything. And there are a lot of things that I haven't done, because yeah, I wasn't in the business world, but who out there it has done everything? No, in terms of marketing, in terms of what I know, and this whole idea that either you're a serial entrepreneur and you know everything when your failure rates are 70 to 90%, or you're a techie guru, you're worthless in that world. It is, believe me, the techie liberals with Bill Gates, he started that, and everybody is Steve Jobs, a genius. I'm like, excuse me. Sure, maybe it was genius in terms of technology, but the havoc the smartphones have created. I mean, really, it's becoming a mental health care issue in terms of public policy. So, Squire Patton Boggs, I met with the head of the department, spoke with him about my case, trying to go to the international courts, as well as global expats. Everything got bucked. Oh, he was interested, but everything got bucked down to the pro bono department, sitting there ever since. I'm like, you guys, I'm not going away. You could ignore me, but I'm not going away. And it's going to bite you in the ass at the end. So then I've got, Cuatro Casas. They were the law firm. It's an international law firm in Spain. That was the one who handled my divorce. I think I went through 7 different lawyers. And I know the lawyer, the judge, oh, she's crazy because she keeps on changing lawyers. Well, if the judges had taken the time to say, well, why does this lady keep on changing lawyers? She wouldn't be in the position that she's going to be in when I get her to the international courts. It's a judge's job to make sure that the rights of the litigants are being respected and that proper procedure is happening in their courts. Not just to sit there out there and judge people because you don't like them. But they don't understand that. So anyway, Cuatro Casas, when I walked in to the, because by this time, you know, I was like, okay, I know they're going to take custody away from my kids. My kids by this time are, you know, close to 15, 16. I'm like, okay, a couple of years, and then they're out of there. And then, you know, what I need to concentrate on now is the financials. I want to see the everything. And you know, getting my company up and moving forward with that. And then I got my kids, and you know, whatever happens here, but I'll be financially fine. So this guy, this was for the divorce, and the one thing I was like, well, okay, you know, they've so screwed this whole thing up. I'm going to be looking at this in the international courts of what's happened but from here on, what you need to concentrate, I need all of the financials, every single thing since we were married, because he would never show me anything. And he told me he had lost all the money. I don't know. He did admit during the divorce proceedings that there were accounts in Luxembourg. So why was I never given access to those records? I mean, that's, you know, going to be one of the big things. But I mean, I know why. So when I go in there, this is our neighbor who, Alex Fernandez, he was a lawyer at Bank of America. Well, I have seen the blue marks, black and blue marks around his wife's neck. So I already know about him. And you know why his wife's name will come up. She was also Bank of America. They were sent there from the United States as expats and then stayed. I mean, then they lost slowly they were ousted, but they stayed. These are the great lawyers and marketing people that Bank of America hire and employ. So anyway, his good buddy is over at Cuatro Casas, Jorge Capel. They're good buddies. So when Alex Fernandez, you know, accompanies me and takes me to, not only do I go in and see Jorge Capel, but Alex Fernandez comes with me. And I'm like, oh, great. He wants to watch the lamb being brought in for slaughter. Because I mean, I was like, when I walked in, I'm like, okay, I'm the sacrificial lamb being brought in for slaughter. But by this time, I was with a court-appointed lawyer, which would have been okay if he had done what I told him needed to be done. I won't go off on a tangent on him, but just to explain, when I went into the first meeting with him, I said, oh my Lord, they gave me Jerry Lewis. You remember the professor of Jerry Lewis and the nervous twitch with the eyes? And Oh my God. And he kept on, shut up, lady, shut up, lady. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 25 years. And I was just thinking, oh gosh, so we've got 25 years of clients that need to be investigated of what the hell you've been doing. Because if you think that you know what you're doing because you've been doing this for 25 years, guess what? You've been fucking women over for 25 years. When I told him, I said, I need the financials. Oh, no. Eso es para quien llega primero. No se puede hacer nada. You can't do it, No way to get a hold of financials. Okay, well, I won't get off on that with the divorce because that's they took me for a ride. Freaking day one, I was like, do you think people I was born yesterday? I kept on telling them, I am not your stupid bimbo woman that you guys have in this country, like my mother-in-law and so many other that I know. Ooh, okay. I'm not going to get off. I'm not going to get off the subject. So anyway, we got Jorge Capel. And he screwed me royally. They were going to show me. I knew it. I tried to make it clear to these two guys. I was very clear. Not in so many words, but don't fuck with me. Do not fuck with me. Because I will fuck with you. And you will regret it. And if it takes me 20, 30 years, you're going to pay dearly. So then, I promise you, I love helping people, and I do not look for a fight with anybody. But you touch my children. I mean, you just touch my children, and I will go after you to the ends of the universe. And I made it clear to everybody from day one that that's how this would go down. So yeah, you're gonna be living on a street, and in a tent on a street, you are going to have to because that's the only thing that's stopping me. And it's for justice. This isn't revenge. It's for justice for me and for everybody else that you're screwing over, because I know you're not doing it just to me. I mean, I don't, like, I'm not as egocentric as all of these idiots and think that, yeah, you're all out to get me because you're all a bunch of stupid idiots who do it to everybody, not because I think I'm so important. Okay, so yeah, those are the three, I guess, related to my case. But then I have Aaron Fox in here, but I did mention Aaron Fox before because there's a link with Dwight Scharre with Aaron Fox, because Dwight Scharre was a supporter. It was I think I put his name down here. Marshall Coleman. Yeah, it was the Virginia governor contender. They didn't win, but Marshall Coleman and Dwight Scharre. And in fact, Dwight Scharre was was a supporter of Michael Coleman, who was, I forget, it was called Arendt that he went with, or it was either Arendt or Fox they was with, and then it became Aaron Fox. And Aaron Fox is going to have problems with their affirmative action program. Because the guy who was running that thing, we're gonna see what he was doing there. Oh, what a social climber. What a brown nose. So all of these law firms that are sitting on cases that I'm giving them to take for the family courts, and they've got these, I mean, well-funded affirmative action, you know, departments. We'll see that in court. I mean, you know, you're part of empowering the minorities so that they can oppress, be the new oppressors. Okay, then I have Dougherty Street Chamber in here, which is Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer, he's now the head of the Labour Party in England, and that's a good thing. I mean, he's of course, I've been trying to find lawyers everywhere. This is a barrister firm. And, you know, when George Clooney came out in the press that he was dating this woman, I forget, you know what her maiden name was. Anytime I hear about a new law firm, I'm like, oh, okay. So I went through the entire law firm and, you know, through all of the different profiles to find out who would be, you know, an appropriate person to, okay, can we take this to the international courts? And one was Amal Clooney. I mean, well, now she's Amal Clooney. And Keir Starmer. But see, Keir Starmer, he was the name for me that stood out of everybody in that barrister firm. And he was really one, I would say, yeah, now the only name who stood out of anybody, you know, that I think is competent and honorable and of good faith. And he got, this was when I was doing my family courts in crisis newsletters. So this would have been probably 2013, 2014. So, you know, he got involuntarily, I don't ask these people, will you sign up? No, here it is. And I sent it to them. I know a lot of it went into spam, but, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I mean, I'm doing what I can. I mean, nobody knew me a voice, nobody knew me a voice. So really care, because there was, after, of course, that Amal married George Clooney, all of the activists, they went to go and see Amal Clooney, who said, yeah, okay, but retainer fee, like all of them. Yeah, thanks a lot, Amal Clooney and George Clooney, not on your watch. And what's the new NGO? Because I'm going to be checking on that as well under fraud. What the hell are you guys doing? Because the human rights industry is much an industry, a money-making industry, as the domestic violence industry. And just laughing all the way to the bank and having lots of parties and festivities, telling everybody how great they are. So that's Dougherty Street Chambers. Now, I mean, actually, Keir Starmer, when I saw that he was the head of the Labour Party, I sent him a letter, because I've got Prince, you know, Charles. I mean, Prince Charles is directed towards the issues of governance, and this goes, you know, as I say, it parallels the Olive Branch petition to King George. And then Prince Andrew, it's those issues with him, his personal issues, and then Prince Harry as well. And anybody can tell me where I'm wrong about what I'm saying in any of these cases. I got no problem. Tell me. And sit down and talk, but don't just, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, then the last one. Goodness, I'm going on and on. Okay, the last one is Bracewell here in DC. Dee Martin is over there. That's she's on the board of the Feminist Majority Foundation. Now, when I found Dee Martin, because she's a mentor, she, you know, big wig and government affairs and big wig, and I, you know, contacted her. Can we take it to international courts? Once again, retainer fee. See why putting women in position of power has not had the positive effect that everybody, rah, 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 women are here to save the day. That's not happening. Bullshit, it's all lies. Okay, so now let's go to, okay, I'm gonna try and speed this up a little bit. Okay, we'll go to Ghislaine Maxwell, since we're all into corruption. Oh, hold on. Not much left in here. Ghislaine Maxwell, of course, that's with the Prince Andrew affair. Look, Ghislaine Maxwell, spoiled little entitled rich girl, not alone. What Ghislaine Maxwell did, everybody's guilty of it. I'm sorry, she's being used as a sacrificial lamb. Let die, what is it that Jesus says? Let the one who is throw the first stone. Sorry, I don't know my Bible very well, but you know, let anybody who's not a sinner be the one who throws the first stone. You know, this is like, is she, you know, pure as the driven white snow? Of course not. But what she did compared to so many other of the ladies out there, it's ludicrous. It's like, look in the mirror, you ladies. You're whoring, you're pimping you're whoring yourselves out. You're whoring your daughters out. Just like your mothers did. Hold on. Oh. All right, I guess it's getting evening, so it's cool now. Yeah. I mean, so, you know, for example, you go after Ghislaine Maxwell. Why can't I get anybody to go after the IMF Family Association, the World Bank Family Network, UN LESA, FACO? What those ladies are doing is a hell of a lot worse than what Ghislaine Maxwell did. I mean, so much worse. Yeah, here I've got the debutantes in the prep schools. I'm not sure if I talked about this or not. I know I mentioned Glenn Close, but the whole Me Too, the me you can't see, I really wanted to vomit. I mean, that was just, I was like, you people have to be kidding me. You really have to be kidding me. And then I was like, oh, well, thank you, because now you gave me all sorts of weapons against you. You know, when you get arrested and they read you your rights, they say, you have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be held against you. Where do you think that thing came from? Us little ladies. Oh, us little ladies who know how to listen to a conversation, actually listen to every word that's being said in a conversation, and then pick it apart and then chew it up and spit it out at the person. Believe me, you guys may have, with all of your, guns and tanks and some weapons, but little ladies have some other weapons. And we don't carry it around on our backpack. So, the prep schools and the debutante balls. Well, first off, the debutante balls, like, let's get rid of those as much as the Miss Universe. I mean, oh, so we're modern. So isn't it that we got Mr. Muscle? Now we can objectify the men. And I mean, there's nothing wrong. For example, the Greek classics, I mean, those are all nudes. Even in the Renaissance, you had a lot of nudes. So there's nothing wrong with, these models, but they have to sell underwear. Of course. What Calvin Klein puts up there is kind of better than who would want to see Jim Reed, the guy who lives here, in an advertisement to sell underwear, okay. So obviously, there's nothing wrong with the human body, but let's not make them into our gods and what our children are aspiring to be. It's there's nothing wrong with the profession, but as I say, let's not turn them into celebrities and to be worshipped. So this whole, and this is part of the plan. If you read because it really, my books are back there, but is particularly dark money and the Fourth Reich. As you see, a lot of these, the actors and what's going on, it becomes pretty clear that, and it was the Koch brothers. We're going to bring in the Fourth Reich. I mean, okay, I don't think that they called it the Fourth Reich. I mean, it was, we need a backlash to the civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s, which, concurrently there had been groups of the Nazis from Germany who came to the United States after that and basically set up shop with the American government. Come on, buddies, come on, be our buddy now. So, a lot of times, particularly in the men, in minds men, I mean, so many times I want to, because, this linear discussions and arguments, well, it's for this reason, or it's that reason, or that's a reason, or that. I'm like, you guys, it's for all of them. So stop squabbling which reason it is, because people do things for more than one reason. you know, and so, well, it's for this reason, that reason, that this is the principal reason, you know, whether it's you know, going to the supermarket, yeah, small things in life, as well as the big macro stuff at government levels. It's not a linear world, and that's what the you know, the feminists, the women's, you know, movement, we're going to come into the workplace and bring a contribution. Well, the contribution that they can make is this ability. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it drives you freaking crazy if it's used in a psychopathic way. This is the problem. You know, that this ability to see various things going on, and the social side of what's going on, and the different cackling hens. Ooh, get me away from the cackling hens. But they're gossiping, and all of that does have an influence, and it does have an important influence. You know, ideas matter, and that's what the Koch brothers realized, and why we have inundated think tanks. Ideas matter. So let's inundate the system with these think tanks to produce cacophony and more cacophony. And so, of course, the left, instead of, oh, no, we're going to put order here. No, they just jumped on the bandwagon and keep on producing more and more think tanks, foundations, everything. So that, I want to get through this. So I know, you know, Reina Sofia, the Queen Sofia in Spain, and Leticia have already come up. Those little ladies, why, excuse me, I've been doing the job that they should be doing, as well as the Spanish ruling elite. But again, same thing as in Washington and the United States. And I know, I mean, you know, either personally or that I've contacted, either in terms of trying to get investment money or partners for global expats, or in terms of my case and what I'm trying to bring to the international courts. And Spain has an almost utopian legal system and constitution, but it's not being implemented because Reina Sofia, dumb bimbo, oh my God, anybody who'd marry her husband had to be a dumb bimbo, of course. And that's why she has 2 dumb bimbo daughters. And her social climbing feminist journalist daughter-in-law, who should, I mean, she's a journalist. She doesn't understand anything I'm talking about. I'm sure, oh, she doesn't know. Well, and why is that? Because I've been screaming blood from the bloody, you know, rooftops for 15 years now. And I have yet to have anybody explain to me how I'm wrong. Okay, let's go for mine. Sorry. I'm running out of something to drink, but because I always get a dry throat. I think I'm gonna have to speed up or just go through. Oops. So, well, oh, I got one. Well, it's just an ace. I mean, another one came out. Okay, well, they're falling all over the place. I got a king, so nothing of real interest. King of diamonds. God, when they gave me the Air Force One and then the presidential seal, I'm like, I'm going to see you guys in court as well. On the court with the big boy. Okay. Okay, so let's do the next one. Okay, this will be pretty quick. Oh, and this one as well, because I already went over that. But okay, so I'll try and speed it up because I think I have gone over quite a few things here. So this is FBI. So it's FBI Chris Wray. He was, it says Bush Assistant Attorney General at Crime Division. So I don't remember reading that about him, but that's what I have there, which is interesting. That he would have been under Bush, but not surprising because, as I say, they just change, move the chairs around on the Titanic. Now, the FBI, if everybody will remember, wasn't started, but let's just say it was ramped up by J. Edgar Hoover. Because I'm pretty sure it was started shortly before, but J. Edgar Hoover came in. Now you talk about a paranoid, dysfunctional person. Has anybody ever seen? There's a very, very, very good movie about J. Edgar Hoover and his tendency to dress in women's clothes. Now, this man had some real psychological problems. And you talk about paranoid. From the beginning, the FBI has been structured as a Nazi agency. It started under Hoover. And then after him, he was there from 35 to 72. Then there was Clarence Kelly. I don't know anything about that. That was 73 to 78. Then from 78 to 87. So that's about 10 years, which, is a bit longer than the other guy. William Webster. Then there was 87 to 93, William Sessions. Then 93 to 2001, Louis Freach. 01 to 13, Robert Mueller. Then 13 to 2017, James Comey. Robert Mueller, one of my favorite things about Robert Mueller, stories about Robert Mueller was when he went into private practice. And of course, his clients are white collar criminals. He would tell them, sounds like me, you should go to jail. So he didn't do too well in the private practice. I guess went back in public. That's not what they want to hear. That's not what they want to hear. Well, we're gonna figure it out. We'll figure out some sort of loophole here. We'll look for a needle in a haystack and figure something out here to keep your ass out of jail. Oh Lord, that one cracked me up. FBI and CIA. And then we got after with 9/11 with Homeland Security. Well, 9/11 as well. There's still questions. It's just like JFK's assassination. And 9/11, there is in Wikipedia, you know, it goes into this, these architects, there's a group of architects. I mean, these are not wacko, you know, people coming out just because I say so. These are architects who have some legitimate, you know, there's legitimate evidence and legitimate questions that these experts are asking, you know, who know about demolition, who know about all of this structural stuff. You know, why was all of that never properly investigated? Ding, ding, ding. And if you look at the parallel, this is like the, I forget off the top of my head, is the, you know, the fire in Germany, which, you know, brought Hitler into, see, if you look at how it was done to bring Hitler into power and the rise of the Third Reich, the parallels are incredible. So, you know, you can't say, oh, yeah, just because it's suspicious, that's what's going on. But, and you know, I learned this in 4th grade in science. You have a hypothesis. Just because you have a hypothesis doesn't mean that it's true or untrue. That's why you have a hypothesis. Then you find out if it's true or if it's untrue. But just because you have a hypothesis doesn't mean first you're crazy, or second, you know, that you're stating something as fact. And nobody seems to know. I don't even think anybody knows that word anymore. So, you know, the FBI is yet another cog in the system and participating in this because of the, I mean, how many domestic violent extremists are in this organization? As much as the CIA, as much as every other, you know, agency in this town. Okay, so let's go to the second one. Oh, my goodness. These are both similar. Okay, we'll just do, again, I'll do this because I've already, I already went over this. This is, you know, the IMF Institute for Capacity Development and the mismanagement within the front office and the administrative system. And, you know, it just, it's everybody, all of these secretaries, you know, it's incredible, absolutely incredible, the little Machiavellian backstabbing games that everybody is playing in these organizations, because HR is out to lunch. They are, let's see, they produce acronyms. They produce work plans. They produce action programs, and yet another, and yet another, and yet another, that look great on paper. They, you know, the workplace is just inundated. I mean, the chaos, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, committees and committees to discuss and discuss and discuss. And then everybody comes up with these great ideas. Oh, and then we're going to put it together in paper, and we're going to put it together in a nice little package, and spend lots of money in printing and get everything, you know, so we can justify how much money we're wasting. And then, well, nothing got done. Oh, so we have a problem. So we need another committee. We need another meeting. We need another, another group of experts to discuss the problem so we can come up with yet another solution. I mean, they are just managerialist gurus, and let's pay homage to the managerialist god, because he's just like, producing more and more of us to sit around and pretend that we're doing something. So, the administrative function is extremely important. My gosh, this afternoon, I was doing all sorts of stuff with that. I mean, it took me hours. I didn't get anything done, real. I mean, uploading this, putting this, the image and this and that and everything, but it takes time. I mean, I watch movies. That's usually when I watch a movie or something, because it is boring, but it's necessary. Otherwise, these have to be uploaded and it's relatively simple, but it does take time, and it has to be respected by the big wigs and much of the little bimbos who are supposed to be doing it. But instead, they just think it's a seat warming job, because it is. The office managers, the HR people, files are a mess, organizational systems are a mess, and the techie liberals are just getting on the bandwagon. Oh, we can sell more products. We can sell more products, when you need to revamp your entire system, because you've been patchworking it for 15, 20 years now. Well, maybe 10, but still. Ken Mollman of the Libertarian Party, we talked about that, and I think he agrees. That's what he does, basically. And I was like, yep. Okay, so let's go. Well, I'll do briefly Jimmy Carter. Very briefly, Jimmy Carter. Only president we've ever had that never attacked anybody or declared war on anybody. I mean, he's the one who said it, but I'm pretty sure it's true. I didn't fact check what Jimmy Carter said, but I will believe Jimmy Carter. He's one of the few ones I think I actually would believe. Oh gosh, and everybody bashed Jimmy Carter. Okay, so my card is an ace of diamonds. I guess I get nothing ninja. I'm tired, so that's fine. Okay, so I got another one. Let's do the last card. This is National Organization for Women now. Feminist Majority Foundation under Eleanor Schmiels. D. Martin of Braswell, I already spoke about her. Family Court Watch. Okay, this will do quick as well. Okay, National Organization now, and Feminist Majority Foundation, FMF. When I got to DC in 2009, one of the first things that I'm going to do is go to the women's rights organizations. So I look, I find, believe me, I had always been like, well, I think the feminists are just men haters. I don't really understand what their agenda, well, I've gotten into it. Believe me, I've studied with a colonoscopy, all of it, and it's not a pretty sight. So, so first there was National Organization of Women now, which was started with Betty Friedan and Eleanor Schmeals, the original Glory Steinem, the original ladies. However, so that's, it had been the 60s. I forget exactly what year. But then, pretty sure this again, I forget the exact year, but in the 80s, Eleanor Schmeals starts the Feminist Majority Foundation. So right then, that's when I'm first starting off, and I see that and I go, oh, ding, 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 ding. What infighting must be going on with these little ladies? And that was, I mean, as I say, 2009, before getting into any of this stuff. When I saw that split like that, I said, oh God, this is a cesspool full of egos and infighting and bitchery. And well, yeah, that's what I found. But worse, because in fact, what they have is a Nazi agenda. And what their agenda is not to advance women's rights, but in fact, destroy women's and children's rights. Because if they do that, then they destroy any opposition and voice against them amongst the women. And their objective is to become the new masters of the universe and control and dominate everybody, men, women, and children. Just like all of the, just like the male supremacists, white male supremacists, brown male supremacists, everybody is just for their own power and glory and their own different faction, and the feminists are no different. So when I saw that from the very beginning, because, I've been with the expat wives clubs. I know those are Stepford wives. We're professional women. You bitches are all the same. Doesn't matter if you give them a PhD or not. It just makes them more arrogant. And I don't know, maybe brain dead, but they got some tough competition with brain dead Stepford wives. So I don't know. So then, okay, I already talked about D. Martin. Now, Family Court Watch. Now, particularly has a Family Court Watch. That's their thing. I think also FMF and now kind of like, okay, this is going to be your terrain and this is going to be mine. A detente type of situation. So Renee Beaker is the head of the Court Watch at now, and has been since I've been back. Now, I don't know how many times I've sent email to Renee Beaker, or tried to speak with Renee Beaker, and then Terry O'Neill. I spoke with Terry O'Neill. I'm pretty sure that was at the 2015 domestic violence, October Domestic Violence Month, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence cocktail party. I think it was there, it might have been elsewhere. And yeah, I'm trying to approach Terry O'Neill about, my research and how I'm trying to get to the international courts. And she said, Renee Beaker handles, everything to do with family courts. She does the Court Watch, Family Court Watch. Well, she's going to be investigated for fraud, as is now for that kind of bullshit. Feminist Majority Foundation. They're the motor. I mean, when D. Martin, when she said, when I approached her and she said, no, retainer fee, I said, well, can't the Feminist Majority Foundation finance this? Oh no, they're too busy helping the women in Afghanistan become liberated. No, they're the motor behind the violence there. They're producing the same bullshit that they're producing here. And it's creating the same problems. You'll never get rid of the violence. I mean, can't put it on them totally, of course. This is no magic. There are no magic wand solutions. But I did tell you, get these little bitches out of the game. They just want to create chaos and havoc any place that they can. Laughing all the way to the bank. And at the same time that they're gaslighting everybody with their craziness. And then telling everybody how they're saving the world. See? This is the danger of these psychopathic women. I mean, they're taking the entire world for a ride. Right in front of everybody's noses. Nobody'll stand up to them because they're all afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. Oh, Lord. Stick me on a podium with any one of them. Wow. Will we do it on Zoom? I'm standing for an audience. But I'll chew them up and spit them out like you wouldn't even believe. Okay, so we did that. Oh, this I didn't do. So I'll finish there, but obviously I'm not a fan of NOW or FMF. I've spoken, I'm not sure, I think I told the story to some extent about ICD, yeah, but not about AMFA. Perhaps, but okay, I'll tell it briefly. But so basically when I went to the IMF Family Association, no, I'm pretty sure I told this, no records, no nothing. I put everything together. So like, you know, it organized the office and the records. So just like everywhere, no, if you did a good job and you're competent, somebody takes credit for it and gets rid of you. But as I've learned since I've been back, that's standard fare. Everybody does it. So, you know, I was ousted, and while the entire board is going to be held responsible, there's the chair and the co-chair who, you know, did the actual deed. And you know, made the decision. I mean, they did it unilaterally. In fact, when Anne Beatrix, right after, I mean, the day after, because she calls me into the conference room, she's sitting there with John Harper, telling me that that she's notified HR, that I have been, you know, declaring overtime without her permission. And over time that I would, you know, like this was wrong. Like this was not overtime that I was doing. I mean, I nearly hit the roof. I nearly hit the roof. See, if I wasn't a person who knows how to keep my cool and be like, okay, lady, you know, and one of these hotheads, yeah, you could have a serious volatile situation with this. Because what happened was, when I came into the IMF Family Association, they had $10,000 of overtime. That was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it was only the girl before me. I won't start on that, but I mean, you know, she'd be ashamed of herself. Oh, and Beatrix Keller should have never written a letter of recommendation for that girl pretending to be the chair of the IMF Family Association when she wasn't. I mean, this was way before. This was years. Well, it was when the girl left and I came in. And Anne Beatrix Keller, I guess, effectively had joined the board, but she was just the like the career coordinator, again, I mean, shows you the type of people that they have in their you know, their board and their positions. But that's a no-no, Anne Beatrix Keller. I mean, you've done a no-no in this city since you have arrived, and your day of reckoning will come. There are a lot of people who want to protect you, just like all of the people over at the ICD, Institute for Capacity Development. They all want to protect those little bitch secretaries and the seat-warming office manager and all of the bullshit that's going on in HR. They want to put their homes, their careers, their property on the line. I got no problem. I've been clear from day one with everybody. You know, you know, this is, you know, the big time. The big time. Yeah, it is a big time. And playing with the big boys and high stakes. And you're crap shooting. You're playing, you know, craps. You don't go, you know, somebody who plays craps doesn't walk in to high roller game unless they want to be absolutely destroyed. So ladies and gentlemen, you wanted to come to the land of opportunity and play hardball and show how you know, important you are, because you can make it, well, the Big Apple, or now we got the Little Apple. Because Washington was bad, but it wasn't this bad. Bienvenue à la fin. And bienvenue, the day of reckoning, when we have the Nuremberg trials too. Because you can just get in line, because I got all of the evidence against you. So, you know, everybody wants to protect and protect and protect and protect their little neighbor because they're afraid that they're going to get sold out, or what they're doing wrong is going to be exposed. That's the, and this is how a protection racket works. So when that happens, you know, you got honorary chair of the IMF, because the honorary chair are in there. There's Anne Sinclair. She's at the Huffington Post. She's, the Huffington Post stuff will come up. She's gonna have that little lady. She's gonna lose everything. She wants to crap shoot everything that she's got to protect the corruption in the court, to protect Anne Beatrix Keller, and you know, the kind of crap that the IMF Family Association is and has been pulling. You know, not just in terms of the labor rights violations going on with whoever they have in you know, the employee in that office, or employees if it is, but in terms of what they're producing to cover up all, you know, the sexual and physical abuse of all of these children and re-victimizations of victims in the courts. You know, that gets to Natalie Fisher. She's the head of the domestic violence, you know, division or portion of the IMF Family Association. She knows me. You know what she said to me? Couldn't believe it. Because when I left the IMF Family Association, there was a woman, a member. But see, the problem is when when they get divorced, all of a sudden, even though the the spouse is still in this country, trapped in this country, because, this is where the jurisdiction of her divorce is, she's no longer a member. They hang her out to dry. All of a sudden, oh, you're not part of our club. Now, they worked around that, and the children are still members. But even that, it's a joke. They're doing the same thing as all the other domestic violence NGOs. It's just to cash in, just to get more funding from HR for more parties for these girls. Now, Natalie Fisher, she told me, because there was a case, and typical case, the court handed over custody of the children to an abusive father, IMF employee, brought here by the IMF. And so the mother had tried to take them and leave the country. And I believe she was German. I'm not sure what the father was. She was German, had tried to leave, and of course was put in prison for attempted kidnapping, child abduction. Now, she's the protective parent. We see this all the time, all the time. They, will resort to anything. Now, the other side of the problem is from an outsider, you don't know what these cases are, because you also see vindictive parents doing that. So you can't just assume, jumping in, that the person is fleeing, or that the person is not stealing the child to separate it from the other parent, or to abuse it. So this is why, once again, evidence and due process. Without that, it'll never be cleared up. That's why they go to the press with their grievances, because the courts can't figure it out. They're all laying their head up their ass. So Natalie Fisher, when they told me, about this German woman, I was like, oh God. And Natalie Fisher, because of course, what happened with the IMF, they transferred the father out of the country, get rid of the problem. See, this way, there's no scandal. The mom's in the United States sitting in prison for I don't know how long. And the father is given a free pass by the IMF to go jet set on taxpayers' money as an expat. He has housing paid for, the schools of his kids are paid for, and he is at liberty to abuse his children, elsewhere, kind of out of the out of American jurisdiction. And Natalie Fisher actually has the gall to say to me, oh, at least it's only psychological abuse. That one sentence with this little lady, dig her freaking grave. And the grave, well, the grave had already been dug for the entire info. And the thing is IMF spouses are automatically members when they come. So they don't even have to sign up. However, even if they don't sign up for being a member of INFA, these people are their spouses work for civil servants, yet they come here. I mean, these guys get really handsome packages, housing paid for, education for their children, tuition to go to universities, reimbursement. So, they can make their resumes look really impressive without, it doesn't matter if they learn anything, which of course they don't. but it injects more taxpayers' money into the universities, because I mean, I don't want to see the budget. I want to see the numbers of exactly the tally of exactly how much money of taxpayers' money has been used in tuition reimbursement for these people. Fourth Reichers, they're all in one way or another, involved in some sort of criminal activity or its cover-up. All on taxpayers' money. And everybody is laughing to the bank. They are laughing in the face of the entire world. We got diplomatic immunity. We can do whatever the fuck we want. We're untouchable. We've got the international courts in our pocket. They're our buddies. They're playing the same game as us. They just want more jobs, and more taxpayers' money. And ha 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 ha. The world be damned. And the corporate world is taking over, and the feminists and, you know, infighting, and nobody cares. It's all a big joke. It's all a big joke. So then we have Abraham Lincoln. Well, we are going to go for another civil war if things continue. And I mean, getting rid of me, well, you do it through a bull in my head, or, you know, ship me off onto the streets or wherever, not going to change anything. Won't change a damn thing. You know, my mom, before she was passing, she was working on a whole, you know, play and screenplay. Well, working on it, never went anywhere. She had some good ideas, but then, you know, as usual, yeah, I know how to implement, just like everybody. See, this is the danger of the narcissist and the psychopath who has risen to power. Risen to power, they may have always been in power, whatever the case may be. They're so obsessed with their own power and glory and being the center of attention and succeeding. I mean, okay, I won't go there with what means success. I mean, I got into a whole thing with my mother. What is success? Well, success is not money. And I guess that's where I have a big divide with my family and just about everybody I know. You know, you all think that having money is the sign of success, and nothing else matters. And you know, I guess we'll never agree on that one. So anyway, no, it's a shame because, you know, my mom had been so self-destructive. They wouldn't have been in a nursing home. They wouldn't have gotten COVID. Well, they might have gotten COVID, but definitely they would have, you know, I would have had them isolated, if you will. They would have been in a house. And if she hadn't been so, you know, it's her project and she's got to be, you know, the great, just like Jim Reeves, just like Jim Reeves. You know, she's going to be this great playwright, and her children had done, that also came out. Her children had destroyed her life because she had children. See, this is also the big fight of the feminists and the rest of the women of the world, is that no, our children are not our downfall. Our children are what make us what we are. Having children you know, they're not across the bear. And you know, this, if I hadn't had children, my life would have been, you know, this wonderful whatever success. And the reason that it did succeed was because I was brought down and plagued with children and a husband and having to you know, dedicate myself to them. This is a narrative that they're really pushing. Another reason why they don't like me and my whole having it all. Yes, you can have it all if you stay at home with your children when they're young and, you know, take advantage. I mean, for centuries and centuries and centuries, women have been trying to find a good catch so they wouldn't have to go out and work. And they could stay home with their children. Sure, someone wanted to, you know, hang out at country clubs or tea houses or, you know, depending on the century. But not everyone. A lot of them wanted to stay home because they actually cared about their children. Now, some of them had antiquated ideas of what education should be, and you need to modernize that. But, you know, there are women out there who actually have a maternal instinct. I mean, my Lord, God forbid that any woman should, you know, want to ruin her life by having children. See, men, you don't understand to the extent to which there's a war going on between the women on this point. So that's, oh, I didn't do in the first round, so I'm gonna only do one round. I love the Alice in Wonderland things. They always crack me up, but they always come to, they seem to be coming up the same ones each time. I don't know what's going on there. So I mean, my God, you know, I can't even say how much my children, I mean, you know, they make us who we are. No, they are part of making us who we are as adults and becoming, you know, responsible human beings. It's a process. I mean, of course, you're not in your 20s, you're not going to view the world or life the same way that you do when you're an old lady like me. Headed for the 6th floor, as they say in Colombia. Okay, so, and I took these guys off. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, info. They got. Something comes at me like a jack in the box, and I go up like a skyrocket. Well, I think something comes at me like a jackass. It's Anne Beatrix Keller, and it sends me up like a skyrocket. Okay, and believe me, when that skyrocket comes down on Anne Beatrix Keller, oh, that lady is going to rue the day. And I mean, for the stupidest that, you know, you don't start a war with somebody over a little tiny booty. You know, like a 1 gold coin on the sand. Not worth the war, because you could lose the island. So, National Organization for Women and Feminist Majority Foundation. I'm not a visitor and I'm not a servant. No, they're all trying to be frickin' queens for a day. Maybe the not visitor is Meghan Markle. Oh Lord. At least that is bringing to light some of the Machiavellian games and the agenda of women like Meghan Markle. I mean, Harry's a very vulnerable young man. I mean, it's sure, he's an adult, but he comes from a dysfunctional family. What do you Abraham Lincoln, that's the reason they're called lessons, because they lessen from day to day. Yes, well, the lessons that we learned from the Civil War, the first Civil War, they lessen day to day as we approach the next one. Okay, and for me, drink me. What a curious feeling. Am I supposed to drink the Kool-Aid? Yeah, I don't drink Kool-Aid. I'm not into your Kool-Aid. Thank you very much. Yeah, it does give you a curious feeling, kind of like LSD or something. Okay, so that's it for this evening. I actually got through all three of them. Oh, and it's not too late. Okay, well, have a nice evening, and as I say, I hope it's informative. I'm trying not to repeat stuff, and I'm putting and as I say, on the spreadsheet, on the Excel spreadsheet, and to try and keep track of what I've covered and who I've covered. I mean, I don't have a lot of notes there, but you can see that. So anyway, until tomorrow. Until tomorrow, or when they kick me out.